So I think that we should, we should be good. I think actually we should have Mr. Eisenberg joining us here shortly. This is going to be good. I'm excited about that. But yeah, it's rollerblading is something that I grew up doing, and my baby brother, who passed away subsequently, started doing that as well. He became very good at the sport, skating until the day he passed away, and it was it's a really good way for me to get back into, because I went back into it earlier last year, in the last quarter of last year. Let's call it that. That works. And it's actually felt, I mean, it's changed my life for the better recently, because when you live a sedentary lifestyle like I do, having skates, having something to take you outside of fluorescent lighting or in-house lighting, I guess, anything that you can do to make that happen is beneficial. It helps to have a healthy dose of sun, vitamin D, giggity. But anyway, so we're going to be talking about that. Actually, Arlo just joined us. So my next guest is a pioneer in rollerblading, from being one of the godfathers of the sport, introducing skating setups like anti-rocker, which my preferred riding style lately, founder of some of the most iconic brands, and even had his own skate park in his home state of Texas. He's definitely in my Mount Rushmore of rollerblading. I'd like to welcome Mr. Arlo Eisenberg. Arlo, how are you, man?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Dude, thank you for being here, man. It's an absolute honor. Are you back in Texas? Where are you at these days?
I am back in Texas, and I'm a little distracted right now because I'm trying to figure out the audio. I've never used this platform before.
Okay.
And I think I don't have you on speaker or something. I'm on an iPad.
Can you hear me okay or no?
I can hear you. It's just very faint, and I don't want to miss anything that you're saying.
Sure. No, definitely. Try it. Let me see. I think the only way to do it, the volume is really on your end.
Yeah.
There you go. That sounds like something changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, whatever. I can make it work, I guess.
All right. I could talk a little louder too here. I'll bring it up. So, dude, thank you for joining me. Now, I wanted to set the table before you started skating, because you started skating in like high school, right?
Yeah, exactly. Probably between my junior and sophomore year. I mean, my junior and senior year in high school.
Okay.
In fact, my origin story is I'd gone with my father and my uncle and my brother. We went to a ski industry trade show in Dallas because, on like spring break, sometimes is like a family thing. We'd go skiing and stuff. And so my dad and my uncle were way into that. And so they'd go to the trade show and check out whatever the latest gear was, I guess. I don't know. Yep. But so we walked around, and Rollerblade had a booth because, I guess one of their early target markets was crossover for skiers.
That makes sense.
I'd never seen it or heard of it.
Yep.
And they had, their bedazzled booth. It was bright. Every rollerblading cliche that you can think of from the very early 90s, right?
Green,
spandex, sparkling jackets. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so honestly, and I was into skateboarding back then, me and my brother, Andrew. So I kind of was looking at it through those eyes, and it did not look that cool, to be honest, except that, and I've told this story often, but they were playing a promotional video in the booth. And most of the video was more of the same. It was guys dancing and, doing crazy legs, and they had on their sequin jackets. But there was one clip of a guy jumping down like 6 stairs or something in a downtown environment.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, something there clicked. I was like, we skate downtown. These are like ice skates, basically, with wheels on that you can use and like skate anywhere, like in an urban environment. And something was really cool and interesting about that to me. And I actually I keep mentioning my brother, but it's because he was older than me. And so everything that I got into at that time was because of him. So he used to play hockey. And so I'd go to the rink with him, and I never joined a hockey league or anything, but I bought skates because we'd go skate at the rink all the time. So I got into skateboarding from him. I got into hockey from him.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I saw rollerblades, it was like all of a sudden all these things were kind of like come together. It looked like ice skates on dry land, but you could use them where we were used to using our skateboard. So that's how I got into it.
Dude, it's so crazy. I didn't want to. So when Chris Edwards and I talked, I mentioned my baby brother who passed away, who got into skating because of me.
Yeah,
and like it's so cool to see that to see that correlation. I appreciate your origin story way more now.
Cool. Well, I'm sorry to hear about your baby brother. That's tough.
Yeah, man. But you know, he was a way better skater than I was. Holy crap, dude. This kid killed it. So but I'm back. You know, I bought some Hendersons, went back to the skate park. You know, I blew my knee out 4 times before I finally was like, you know what, maybe not right now.
Yeah.
And then I went back and I literally didn't know what to buy.
Yeah.
As far as I just went on Roller Warehouse and I was like, I found Derek Henderson and I was like, oh shit, okay, cool.
Yeah, sick.
That dude's a beast.
Yeah, Derek Henderson's rad.
Beast.
Very burly.
Yeah, and so that's what got me into it, back into it. But I originally saw you in the, you know, was it 97 or 98 X Games? What X Games was it? There were.
So I just had to write a bio for myself.
Yeah,
and my daughter pointed out to me that I got it wrong. I thought that I won the X Games in 95, but I guess I won in 96.
Okay, you know what? That makes sense because I was in military school in the Dominican Republic with a bunch of Dominican kids watching you kill it. And also, I mean, this is obviously, it's a whole hodgepodge. I mean, Rawlinson Rivera went to our skate park one time in the DR.
I was going to say, was Rawlinson revered like a god in the Dominican Republic?
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. Awesome. I mean, like, you know, I know that he was Puerto Rican. But
he's half Dominican, half Puerto Rican.
That's what it was. Yeah, dude. So yeah, no, we loved him. So watching you guys is what got us into it. And then you and Brooke Howard Smith and a few others started Senate, which is my favorite OG brand, hands down. How cool was it to start a company with your homies? And tell me about how that started.
Well, so, you know, we covered the origin story in Dallas, discovering rollerblades. Well, fast forward a few years and it consumed my life. And it was, you know, and I thought that I'd gotten pretty good at it. And I you know, graduated high school, went to college in Austin, but all I was doing was skating. I mean, I was flunking every class. So at some point it was kind of like, well, either, you know, do something with it or, you know, focus and commit to something else. Because it, you know, so I did. I moved to California. In fact, actually, before that, Team Rollerblade came to Dallas. They used to travel around. They'd go to do exhibitions, and there was a 10K race, a skate race in Dallas. Okay. So they came. They set up a ramp, and Team Rollerblade was here, and it was Angie Walton, Jess Darenforth, Pat Parnell, AJ, and Chris Edwards.
Yeah.
And
that's the first class.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is the original Team Rollerblade, basically. Yeah. This is like ground zero.
Yep.
And so after they got done with the show, I skated the half pipe a little bit and got to talking with them and invited them out to Jeff Phillips Skate Park, which is was a local skate park here. Mm-hmm. And we sessioned out there, and that was the first time I ever saw grinding. Chris Edwards put on some skates with some little wheels and started doing, and I was like, whoa, okay. Yeah. Didn't know that was possible. But then I was talking to Angie, and I'm like, you know, what do I do? I love skating. How do I make a living? How do I do what you guys are doing? And she's like, the only way to do it is to be in California, because that's the only place where you can make a living skating, because that's where the shows are. That's where the sponsors are. Yep. And so, you know, it wasn't long after that, but I just sort of, on a lark, I guess, bought a ticket, moved out to California, convinced my parents that I was going to get residency in California and then enroll back in school a year later, which never ended up happening. But in my defense, in the intervening year, you know, I won the first National Inline Skate Series championships, and the X Games was a couple of years after that. So things worked out as far as skating went. But so then once I'm out in California, that's, you know, once you're in California, that's how I got plugged into kind of the scene, the professional scene out there, started getting shows. And I met Brooke Howard-Smith, who had, you know, done a very similar thing to me the year before. In fact, anyone who had an interest in rollerblading back then, you kind of had to migrate to California. So a lot of people were doing this. And he did it from New Zealand. He moved out from Auckland, New Zealand to Southern California. But so he'd already made the connections. He was doing shows for Team Rollerblade. He knew the rollerblade guys. And so, you know, I was just out showboating on Venice Beach, jumping barrels. And that, you know, that's kind of like where skaters would go hang out. And so I started talking to Brooke out there, and he got me hooked up with shows. And then we became fast friends. And eventually that turned into Senate, you know, when we spent a lot of time, obviously, street skating, or what passed for street skating back then. And, you know, I'm a small guy, I have small feet, and it was hard to get enough room between the second and third wheels for grinding, for like front sides and stuff. And so we were looking for smaller and harder wheels, and I started putting skateboard wheels in there.
I didn't even know that it was skateboard wheels that you were using then.
What's that?
I didn't even know that you started with skateboard wheels. That's crazy.
So I was working at a pro shop. I was working at like a sporting goods store selling tennis shoes. But rollerblading started to come on the scene, so they brought in rollerblades and started selling and renting rollerblades from the shop. And they also sold skateboard stuff. So I had access to like materials there. So I bought skateboard wheels. I found some that had a narrow enough profile that they would fit in the frame. And they were little devil wheels. I'll always remember. And so, and they worked great.
I actually remember that graphic. I remember the little devil graphic back in the day.
Dude, skateboarding was a huge influence on me. I mean, like the art of it, the culture of it, the attitude of it, the style of it, like for sure.
Well, you actually, the thing is that you brought the style. I think that, you know, Chris brought the stunts in my head, the way that I divvied up the rollerblading community, the professional rollerblading community is, you know, Chris Edwards was the stunt guy. Yeah. And he was the dude when it came to that. And then you came in and brought like an element of punk rock to it that I was like, you know what? I can identify with this. Yeah. And that's really when I went all in with it. Was when I saw that connection.
Yeah, very cool. I think that's right on. You know, I was never the skater that Chris was. He was the first best skater there ever was. Yeah. And you know, he was I talked about this sort of this first generation of skaters that all moved out to California, this mass migration. Yeah. But he was everybody, you know, he was the first skater that any of us had to look up to. Right. He was doing stuff that was light years ahead of anything that we were doing. And I thought, you know, I never lacked for confidence. I knew I was good, but I always knew that Chris was better than me. You know, I always had a lot of respect for him. But you're right. So what I brought, I think as much as anything else, or more than anything else, was the attitude, right, and kind of a vision for not just the skating and the tricks, but sort of the culture of the thing.
Absolutely. I could not separate rollerblading culture without Arlo Eisenberg. Right. Like, it's really all, I mean, you should be ridiculously proud of yourself for that, bro.
I appreciate that.
So you and Brooke Howard-Smith and the group start Senate after becoming fast friends. It sounds like the plot of a damn movie, dude.
Dude, every time I talk about it, there's no question. It sounds just like a movie. And it was, you know, because it was so absurd. I mean, looking back at it, right, the fact that rollerblading was kind of like the thread that wove the entire narrative together. I mean, it just makes it such a wild story, but it also ties it like so distinctivly to the time. Like it's such a 90s, you know, story. With the rollerblading and the baggy clothes, right, and the boardwalk, it was just, it's definitely a little time capsule. It's really cool.
what's the craziest shit you bought in because I mean you guys I mean I know you guys didn't come out with all of the money that came from Senate, but like you guys had to have like a moment in time where you went from like, all right, am I gonna get a regular job to, hey, maybe this Mercedes is nice, like, or something at that level.
Well, it's funny, you know, so I've never been like a really material guy.
Sure.
You know, Brooke bought an Audi, so that was, I mean, he splurged
right.
on that. I bought a Volkswagen Jetta.
Hell yeah!
I guess the thing that I splurged on was getting rims. Like that was a big deal back then.
Yep.
I didn't know the first thing about them, but all my friends were like, "Oh, you need to get these. You need to get that. You need to get them like gold plated or whatever."
Yeah.
I didn't get gold plated rims, but actually maybe they were. It wouldn't have been gold, right? But like the color gold.
I mean,
I don't know. Something obnoxious.
They would make them like that. I mean, they things exist. That's
so it was a green Jetta with like, maybe it was like gold rims. It must have looked very gaudy, honestly, looking back. But it's kind of like
that though. I mean, that was the era of No Limit Soldiers and shit. Like
exactly. And I love No Limit Soldiers.
Yeah.
I love Master P.
That's awesome, dude. Hoax 2 Anarchy. Is it Hoax 2 Anarchy Across America?
Yeah.
Which one? Okay, Hoax 2 Anarchy Across America it's one of the videos that I still watch. I mean, I probably watched it 6 months ago.
Really?
Like straight up. And it's just so, because dude, it was like I think maybe you mentioned it, that it was like your real world.
Yeah.
It was like real world, but with rollerblade. It's like, it was a dream come. It's just, like I said, a damn movie. Yeah. But Chris Edwards made a great point when I was talking to him in the last interview. He mentioned that that he himself, and I guess it's because he was in the first class, didn't seem to get much flack from the other action sports back in those days. I personally remember getting into fights, kids calling me fruit booter. I mean, as late as 97.
Yeah.
So like and I was actually just rewatching Barely Dead, and you detail pretty well the flack that we were getting as rollerbladers by sharing your own experience. But in the same flick, you describe the flip of the skateboarder, you know, from being the punk rock icon, the counterculture, to being the mainstream, or being the, you know, can you like, do you see the respect? Do you think that rollerblading is getting the respect now that we deserve?
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, I do bristle a little bit the sort of phrasing of the respect that we deserve. I don't know if that's exactly always the best way to put it.
Sure.
Because you get the respect that you get, right? You know, you don't get to claim respect.
It's true.
You either get it or you don't.
That's a very good. That is a very good point. And
you know, one quick note I'd like to say about Chris, because I think that's a kind of an interesting angle, because we've talked a lot about you know, after skateboarders had an axe to grind with rollerbladers. But Chris is right. You know, it was the same thing for me coming up in Texas, and the dynamics are a lot different when you're the only rollerblader that anyone ever comes across, right? They don't know enough about it to know that they don't like it. There's nothing threatening about one guy on rollerblades who they will ever encounter. It's only when rollerbladers start showing up in mass at skate parks and they start wearing baggy clothes and they're always in the way and they're waxing the coping and their tricks look stupid.
It's the scooter.
And then Thrasher can write an article about saying how lame rollerbladers are. I mean, you know, there's got to be sort of like a critical mass before someone can exert the effort to care enough to dislike something. So yeah, Chris probably wouldn't have gotten much flack in the early days.
Sure.
Like I did.
Yeah.
But we all got it once rollerblading exploded on the scene.
Everybody, dude. Everybody.
Right. You could not be a rollerblader and not get beef or static from people.
Yeah, I felt like it was the punk rock kids. I felt like it was the stories that I heard from the punk rock kids from the 1960s and 70s, where they were actually getting beat up because they were like part of this subculture. So you know what? That kind of makes me love it even more. So fuck them.
Well, exactly. And it's, it's honestly, it's kind of like, it's forged by fire, right? Or it's like trial by fire. I mean, it's like, when you talk about the respect that you deserve, you don't just show up on the scene and deserve respect. You can't just say, hey, we're here, we're rollerbladers, respect us.
Yeah.
And you have to be, shit on and spit on, and you have to learn the value of kind of making your own way and doing something without any adulation or accolades. You have to demonstrate that you genuinely love it. And there's nobody rollerblading because they were getting high fives, right? Or getting
they were
only doing it because they loved it. And you had to really love it, because not only were you not getting props, you were also getting shit on. So it built a lot of character sticking with it.
That's so funny. I never even thought about it like that, but you're absolutely right. That is so hilarious.
Yeah.
Now, do you feel like it sounds like at the end of the film, because I just finished watching it, at the end of the film, you seem to sound more hopeful about the sport. So it sounds to me like that is the case. Like you are more hopeful about the future of the sport and everything like that. Do you like the have you ridden any of the new skates, any of the gods or thems or anybody?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm on a pair of 909s right now. They're actually in my second pair of them skates.
Nice.
And I just got my daughter some Brain Deads for Christmas.
Oh, beautiful.
Or Krampus.
Love it.
Yeah. But so Barely Dead, if I was optimistic in Barely Dead, or by the end of Barely Dead, whatever I was optimistic or hopeful about is here. We are living in the time that, that we all, I think, hoped for rollerblading, where you would finally get over the hump, where all the acrimony directed toward rollerbladers and toward rollerblading, people would kind of get over it and just start to recognize it for what it is. And, there's kind of no shortcut to that. You kind of have to have people that have been skating for 20 years. You have to have guys like Haffey and Broskow that, that are great, for a long, long time. And, great in a way that's like indisputable and that's recognizable, right? It looks good. It looks dangerous. It looks technical. It looks stylish. And we've got a lot of those guys now.
A lot of style. There's a lot of style in rollerblading right now. Holy shit.
Oh yeah, it's great. Right. It looks like a polished sport. I mean, I've said this a lot too. Like when we were in the first X Games, or maybe the first 10 years of the X Games, there was a lot of bad skating. It was a brand new sport. It was not very refined. It didn't have a huge trick vocabulary. It's a lot different than the guys who are skating now. And even the guys that haven't been skating for 20 years, but who have the benefit of looking at guys who've been skating for 20 years, that really accelerates the learning curve so fast. And so, there are so many incredible skaters. And also the entire social landscape is different, dramatically different because of social media.
Absolutely.
So many people are able to be exposed to skating. And it's not even just the fact that they're able to be exposed to it, but it's the fact that the message is not bottlenecked through just a few sources of dissemination. It's not just a few magazines or a few video producers. It's now anybody that's great at skating can put their content out there. They can present it in the way that suits them. And then they can find their audience. So and that way it grows really organically.
I think that it's great that we have that. And I mean, I think this is true for all sports. But we feel it more because it's rollerblading. That back in the day, you had to have your buddy with a bulky ass camera follow you around, and then figure out how to edit this shit or whatever, and then find a VCR to watch it. Now it's like, hey man, get your iPhone out. I'm about to do this.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's one of those things that it's visually appealing. So it's very adaptable to social media, even something like a TikTok, because you have somebody doing something that not a lot of people can do, and something that's interesting. So I think that there is, I think I agree with you that we are here. That the time is now. We're actually one of the things that I'm working on here in Florida is a music festival that we're going to be working on with suicide awareness. You know, I talked to Chris Edwards about Brian Bell. My little brother suffered the same end. So that's, you know, kind of the thing that we were talking about. But I think that there is, for me at least, it's helped my mental health to go back.
Yeah.
It's therapeutic. And I think that there's not enough talk about that, especially because, you know, we have the ability to hit our heads a lot more than a lot of other activities. So I think that when that happens, I'll hit you up, and hopefully there's something that we could all do together. I think that'd be great. So. Yeah,
definitely. I would love that. You know, it's funny because behind me I have some of the art that I've done. You know, this is a lot of stuff from Ghost.
Yeah.
You know, Ghost in a lot of ways was a lot about like suicide. That was kind of like a lot of the inspiration behind it. I mean, the character was a ghost, right? And it had people slitting the wrists and nooses and things like that, and pills and drugs.
Yeah, of course, that makes total sense. Now that you think about it,
yeah, and it's kind of so I'm working on this project now, Drug Receipts, where I'm creating all these. You know, I've got this roster of drug characters, little pills and pill bottles and things like that, and syringes. But we're doing an NFT release. And so I'm basically, in order to, and there's going to be 10,000, illustrations that are going to be released. But so I'm going through my entire catalog, basically, and like redrawing every graphic I've ever done. I'm drawing pills riding bombs. I'm drawing pills. What are other things that I've done? Oh, with the knapsack, you know, runaways, all this stuff. But the one thing that I haven't been doing is the suicide stuff. I haven't been doing nooses. I haven't been doing straight razors. And I just don't feel comfortable with it anymore. And, you know, my whole artistic career, in my whole sort of like
messaging
profile has been to be kind of like provocative, right?
Absolutely.
And I you know, I'm not above targeting all the low-lying fruit. I do, you know, I'll target or attack religion. Not attack. I would
attack personally.
But because I don't want to say I'm attacking suicide, right? Because that's not what I'm doing. What I'm using is I am mining those fields for creative inspiration. So right. So religion, suicide, drugs, you know, all the things that I think people traditionally find objectionable have always been most interesting to me. Because really what I like to try and do is I'm trying to blur the lines between, you know, things that I'm trying to blur the line between things that people historically and traditionally find objectionable. I'm trying to blur the lines between morality, something like that.
I you know, that's kind of my type of brand, man. I like that. And honestly, the way that I deal, because I mean, I've had mental health issues and all of that, and the way that I deal with, like, my brother, when, you know, to memorialize my brother, he had his favorite show is It's Always Sunny. So I don't know how familiar you are with Sunny.
A little bit.
Okay, so there is a fake soda company that Danny DeVito puts out, where he tries to pitch it everywhere. Becomes the official soda of like Al Qaeda or something like that, and then he ends up pitching the soda at a baby's funeral.
Oh God!
And so he closes the pitch with Wolf Cola, the right cola for closure.
Oh my God!
So I have a Wolf Cola bottle or can with the right cola for closure as the memorialization. So I can appreciate the art that makes people uncomfortable.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so I love that. Final question, because I am a fanboy. Are you allowed to bring back Senate? Can you do something with it?
Yeah, absolutely. So Mark Heineken was one of our partners at Senate. Brooke and I founded the company, and the first person we brought in was Mark. He was running a distribution company, an inline distribution company in Holland at the time. But anyway, so long after all of us left Senate, went on to do other things, Mark stayed at the company all the way till the end.
Wow.
And when he finally left, which by then, Senate was owned by a much bigger corporation. So when he left the corporation, he had the opportunity to buy Senate and take it with him when he left.
Nice.
And which he might have done. I'm not sure how that played out, but he called me when that happened. And he said, listen, I'm leaving and I want to buy Senate and I want to do something with it. I think that we should bring it back. And so we kicked that around, but ultimately I made the evaluation. I'm not interested in that. I mentioned drug receipts. We talked a little bit about ghosts. It's like, I like creating projects. I like pushing my own limits. I like challenging myself as much as I like challenging other people. And I'm not that attracted to the idea of looking backward. Maybe there'd be a challenge in like reimagining Senate or, doing a refresh, but for me, it sounds regressive. It sounds like going back.
I get that.
Oh, but look, but I did redo this graphic for drug receipts. You see the old Senate graphic?
Yes. Oh, dude, yes. I love that. Can I buy that? Can I buy that in at the store?
Yeah. So it's a collaboration with Vibrolux, which is a skate clothing brand. But so you can go to their website, Vibrolux skategoods.co. They've got their merch for sale there. Yeah, it's really cool stuff.
That's awesome, man. Well, listen, thank you for taking the time to hang out with me, man. I'd love to have you back on and chat some more, especially if you're doing any sort of project. I mean, this is an open door for rollerblade culture for sure. So whatever you need, man, and anything you need in Florida, you let me know.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So we're launching this NFT project like next month. So we're excited, and I'm doing it's very rollerblading related because I'm doing it with Brooke Howard Smith. Who I started Senate with 30 years ago. And we're also doing it with Tyler Shields, who's also a rollerblader, who's like a major like fine art photographer now. So
nice.
I'd love to come back. We can talk about that sometime, maybe after it mints.
Absolutely.
But yeah.
And do you have Shane Smith in your radar? The comedian?
The comedian?
Yeah.
Yeah, a little. I mean, yeah, I watch people that are rollerblading related.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, no, because I figured he's known in the rollerblading community at this point.
Exactly, yeah.
But I interviewed him a little while back, and I found out that he's an old school hardcore kid. So we kind of like meshed on that, and then he's like a rollerblader. I was like, get the fuck out of here, man.
Yeah.
So it's really cool, man. I love the subculture, and I love the fact that it connects people in so many different ways. Thanks so much, man. Thank you for being a part of it, and I'll be in touch, and we'll do it again. Do you want to do it next month to talk about the NFTs?
Yeah, for sure. Let's do it. Get it on the schedule.
I love it. I will put it on the schedule. I'll have my people call your people, and we'll do it.
Yeah, have your people call my people. Perfect.
Thanks, brother.
Thanks for having me on. Bye.
Yeah, man. My name is DJ Zouain. You can find me anywhere on social media at DJ ZOUAIN. You can find me at theend.fm. The End.fm is where you find all the podcasts, all the mixes, everything The End related or DJ Zouain related is there. I want to thank Arlo for being on the show with me. That was a little hot. That came in a little hot. Thank you so much for listening, guys. Thank you for being a part of the show. Make sure and subscribe and download, and I'll talk to you all next week. Peace.